chapel service with a reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 5, verses 20 to 23. My son, observe the commandment of your father, and do not forsake the teaching of your mother. Bind them continually on your heart, tie them around your neck. When you walk about, they will guide you. When you sleep, they will watch over you. And when you awake, they will talk to you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is light. And reproofs for discipline are the way of life. Please rise. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
You probably guessed what I'm going to speak to you about today. I've changed my routine a little bit. It's usually about famous athletes or someone in sports who's accomplished great things. But I was with Captain Burge last evening and going through, we're looking for motivational things, and I came across this and I thought it had a good message, and I'd like to share that with you today. The video will play so you have something to look at rather than me and my stupid new glasses. But hope you enjoy this. Some of it's talking, but most of it I want you to see the video of the Brooklyn Bridge. The Brooklyn Bridge looms majestically over New York City's East River. It links the two boroughs of Manhattan and Brooklyn together. And since about 1870, they were trying to find a way to make this possible. It's been in existence since 1883, but it was started construction actually in 1869, and the plan started in 1865. Its granite towers and steel cables have offered a safe and scenic passageway to millions of commuters and tourists, trains and bicyclists, pushcarts and cars. The bridge's construction, as I said, took 14 years. 600 people were involved, and at least 24 lives were lost, but numerous people suffered debilitating injuries in the construction of this bridge. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what made me interested in this story. It was the person who had the idea. In 1863, a creative engineer named John Roebling was inspired by an idea to build a spectacular bridge connecting New York with Long Island. However, bridge building experts throughout the world thought that this was an impossible feat, and told Roebling to forget the idea. It just could not be done. It was not practical. It had never been done before. But Roebling could not ignore the vision he had in his head. He had the vision of this bridge. He thought about it all the time, and he knew deep in his heart that it could be done. He just had to share the dream with someone else. After much discussion and persuasion, he managed to convince his son, Washington, an up-and-coming engineer, that the bridge, in fact, could be built. The son took the father's dream, and it became his. Working together for the first time, the father and son developed concepts of how it could be accomplished, and how the obstacles that everyone talked about could be overcome. With great excitement and inspiration, and the heaviness of a wild challenge before them, they hired their crew and they began to build their dream bridge. The project started well, but when it was only a few months underway, a tragic accident on the site took the life of John Roebling. Washington was also injured and left with a certain amount of brain damage, which resulted in him not being able to talk or walk. So the two people responsible for this bridge, one is dead, he's not going to be much help, and the other one cannot walk or talk. told him so. Crazy men in a stupid, crazy dream. It's foolish to chase wild visions like that. Everyone had a negative comment to make and felt that the project would be scrapped, since the Roblings were the only ones who knew how the bridge could be built. This did not deter Washington. In spite of his handicap, he was determined that the bridge would be completed. His mind was still sharp as ever. He tried to inspire and pass on his enthusiasm to some of his friends, but they were too daunted by the task. As he lay on his bed in his hospital room, with sunlight streaming through the windows and a gentle breeze blowing through the flimsy white curtains, he was able to see the sky and the tops of the trees outside just for a moment. It seemed that this was a message for him not to give up. Suddenly an idea hit him. All he could do was move one finger, and he decided to make the best use of it. By moving his finger, he slowly developed a code of communication with his wife. And you saw her picture, the lady in the video. That was Washington Robling's wife, who was very instrumental in the building of this bridge. He touched his wife's arm with his finger, indicating to her that he wanted her to call the engineers again. Then he used the same method of tapping her arm to tell the engineers what to do. It seemed foolish, but the project was underway again. For 13 years, Washington tapped out his instructions with his finger on his wife's arm until the bridge was finally completed. Today, the spectacular Brooklyn Bridge stands in all its glory as a tribute to the triumph of one man's indomitable spirit and his determination not to be defeated by circumstances. It is also a tribute to the engineers and their teamwork, and to their faith in a man who was considered mad by half of the world. It stands too as a tangible monument to the love and devotion of his wife, who for 13 long years patiently decoded the messages of her husband and told the engineers what to do. Perhaps this is one of the best examples of a never say die attitude that can overcome a physical handicap and achieve an impossible goal. Often, we face obstacles, not wanting to get up in the morning, not wanting to listen to a directive. But our hurdles are very small in comparison to what many others have to face. The Brooklyn Bridge shows us that dreams that seem impossible can be realized with determination and persistence, no matter what the odds are.